How's it going, everybody? So today we're going to do the zodiac houses. The houses are the area of life that the signs are playing out in. Um, these are going to be like, your work life, your home life, stuff like that. Those are the areas, and then the planets and the signs are, what's actually going on there. You know what I mean? So first house is the house of self. It's your personality. It's the I am, what you think you are, right? It's all for personal things. You now keep in mind these houses can like intertwine, right? So what you're personally relating to someone, but let's say you're relating it to your family, you're activating your first and your fourth. You're expressing, so you might be activating your fifth house. You might be activating your seventh house if it's a loved one, like like your girlfriend or something like that. So these houses, they connect, right? It's not always just like one thing at one point in time. So that's your personal house. Your second house is going to be what you value. It's going to be like what I have, like things. It doesn't have to be things, though. It could be values. It could be morals, your morality in some sort. What if you value that, right? Whatever you value. If you value like spirituality, that could be part, in that house. But it also might be like, where's the spirituality coming from? It could be like your ninth house, your eighth house, stuff like that. Your third house is going to be your like communication house. It's going to be your surroundings, your immediate surroundings, meaning it's going to be like your neighborhood, right? Or it could be like who you were around growing up, kind of deal. That's a big aspect. Your environment, it could be your friends, but then your friends might leak over to your fourth house. They might leak over to like your seventh house, stuff like that. Your fourth house, though, your fourth house is home. It's going to be like, where you reside, what you call home. Now, keep in mind, this could be like internal or external, right? So you could feel at peace in some place, like by doing a certain thing. So then you might be activating your fourth house at that time. But it also could be like your literal home, where you actually sleep at night and stuff. It's also going to be about your family, your domestic issues, your domestic life. This is a big indicator of like when you're younger, growing up. Like I have Scorpio here. I don't have a planet there, but it doesn't matter if you have a planet there or not. It's just that's what it's going to play out as. If you have a planet there, you could use that energy. You can actually utilize that, right? But if you don't have a planet there, you can't really utilize it. It just is what it is. That doesn't mean that you can't activate it sometimes. It just means that it's not as prominent in your life. You know what I mean? Now your fifth house is going to be your expression. How you're seen to others, how you want to be seen to others. It's going to be like entertainment. It could be the house of like, when I mean by entertainment, like acting a certain way because you want to be seen in that way, right? It's the see house. It's how you look at things. It could be also about, your sex life, or could be about your creativity, stuff like that. Your sixth house is going to be about service. So that's going to be about your service to others, your service to yourself. And in turn, that means health, right? How you take care of yourself, how you take care of others. It's going to be about like your routines, like menial tasks sometimes. But you sometimes have to do those menial tasks just to actually, be at peace with yourself, like cleaning your house and stuff like that, you know what I mean? Your seventh house, sorry, my dog's going a little crazy. It's not me. No. And then your seventh house is going to be like your relationships. It's about others. So that's, like I said, these houses can connect, right? So your sixth house, seventh house might be happening at one point in time, but it's about more like close-knit relationships, so that's where you get like, your wife or something, or you might get like just a really deep friendship, That could also activate your seventh house. Um, it's about just relating to others too. This is like just so you might be wanting to be friends with someone, right? So you might want to take them from your third, which is like they're just around you, to then you want to get close to them. So then you want to relate to them. You want to express. So then you're using your fifth house. You want to express what you are like. When then in turn you want to know what they're like. You want to so you can relate to each other. Be in harmony with each other. That's what seventh house is about. Now eighth house about like sex. They always say that, but just because you got everyone. I guess not everyone, but everyone has certain ways of looking at it. You could say like, oh, you can be like really in depth about sex and stuff like that, but it's just the way I think about the eighth house is just the deep, right? It's the depth. So you look at the dark shit, right? And in turn, by being down there, that's one of the things that happens is sex. It's about like on a lower level, but that lower level isn't always, bad. I don't want you to think about that. Like nothing's really good, nothing's really bad, So when I talk about the eighth house, I'm just talking about something deep, right? And if you are deep in the waters and sex happens and it happens, but it's also about like behind the scenes, so it's be under the water, it's you're not looking above the water, you're not swimming on the water, you're below the water, right? And you're looking on the out or in the inside looking out, That's kind of what the eighth house is about. Now, and then you get to the ninth house. So this is going to be about like your wisdom. It's going to be about they say education. It could be about your experiences, philosophy, stuff like that. Now, this is where like a lot of people say like your spirituality lies, or like if you're religious or whatnot. It's because of that. It's because of the wisdom, right? Now, it's expressing that wisdom also. That's why it's kind of also like the house of travel, right? So you might travel to gain wisdom. You can travel internally too. A lot of people in ninth house places be like, oh, I don't travel. You're maybe traveling inside. It's just about whatever planets there or whatnot. That's what you utilize to gain some sort of wisdom for yourself. Now your 10th house is going to be like your public image. So your public image, it's going to be about your status. It's about your career. It's also about your accomplishments, and what you're known for. Now this year, so like I said, you're kind of like what you are known for. That's your public image. Like if you're a carpenter or something, they know you as a carpenter, right? But depending on what placement's there, what's going on there, you might not want to be known as a carpenter. You might not want to be known for certain things. But wherever your 10th house is, that's the thing that's going to be known, That's the thing you might want others to know as well. So that's an interesting one. Now your 11th house is going to be your associates, your organizations. It's going to be like your social life, right? Now keep in mind here that the houses have rulers. So like the first house is Aries, second house is Taurus, right? And so it holds those elements as well. So the 3rd, 7th, and the 11th are all air signs, right? So that's why they're all about communicating. They're all about relating. They're all about air type stuff. Now, your 11th house is going to be hold on, let me retract here. So your 3rd would be like your local stuff. Your 7th would be like your more in one-on-one or one on like 3 or whatever kind of conversations. But then your 11th house is going to be like your like work setting. It might be more like go to the store, who you associate with, meaning like a group. You might not be close with everybody in that group. You might be close with like one person. So then that one person's in the 7th house, hitting your 7th house, but the rest are just your 11th house. So who you associate yourself with, you know. It's also going to be like kind of about like, because it's the Aquarius is the ruler there, so it's going to be kind of about like your it's going to be sometimes about the intellect, sometimes about humanitarian issues, stuff like that, which is how you associate yourself with those type of ideals, since air is ideas, you know what I mean. And then your 12th house. Your 12th house is going to be about your illusions, your dreams. It's going to be about your, imagination. So they call it the house of like self-undoing, because, if you're swimming, and then you might mess up, right? And then you might feel that deeply, right? It could also be like, if you have like, let's say like your Saturn here might be delusional. So you might be delusional about your patterns, but it's the house. So it's the area of life. So you might have a pattern, right? But then every time that pattern like happens again, then you might be delusional about it, or others might be delusional about the pattern, or it could be that you do something to cause that, illusion. And then, like I said, the ruler here is Pisces, and it's a water house, and I like to think about it too as like the modality stays the same as well, so it's mutable, right? So, mutable waters, mutable emotions, so then that's why it could be like, illusional, delusional, I suppose. So these are the houses. It's kind of a quick run through. I just wanted to kind of get that out there so that we have like an understanding of what these houses are, so that when I get more in depth later with different videos, that we can kind of understand where the area of life that it's happening at. These are really important to know. A lot of people don't know where their houses are, because they don't know like what their time is. It's all dependent on the ascendant, so it's a very key point to know when you're doing astrology is where your houses are at, where they lie, because then you can be like, oh, I can activate my moon because I have it in this house, so this is the setting I should be maybe activating my moon at, or I could be activating my ascendant in this way, stuff like that. And I always look at it too as like it's a cross of energies, right? So it's a lot of people are like, oh, I'm one day off from Scorpio, but I'm a Libra, so I guess I'm just a Libra. No, that's not how it works. There's decanates to the houses. There's decanates to the signs. It's just the area of life, right? We calculate it in a certain way to where it cuts off there, but you might feel some influences. Like let's say you're cusping like the 8th and 9th house. You might feel some influences from both. It doesn't mean that you're just like one or the other based on like the degree you're in. It's the area that it's at that you're kind of feeling, you know what I mean? So that's another thing that people kind of get confused about. It's like, oh, I resonate more with this than that. Well, check your decanate. You might realize that you have some influences from some other houses or, signs that actually, make you feel more that way, So that's kind of the idea of like a cusp, or the idea of like the first decade Pisces is different than the third decade Pisces, stuff like that. But I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope I made that pretty clear. I try to get it fast as possible, but we'll be moving on to the next one.